So continuing in the halachot of Netilat yadayim, we are in Siman Daled Nun Zayin. Af hanichnas levet kvarot shel goyim. We were talking about last week going to visiting graves or visiting graveyards and cemeteries, and we did discuss going to the cemetery of only tzaddikim. When you go to a kever of one tzaddik or two tzaddik, like Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, it's only his kever. Those places you don't need to do Netilat yadayim when you come out of. We discussed that last time. I remember that when you go to a kever that's only the tzaddikim, there's no need for a Netilat yadayim afterwards because they don't have a ruach ra. They don't have that unclean spirit, so to speak. But when you go to a bet kavarot, you go to a cemetery with large amounts of people buried there, you will need Netilat yadayim. So how about if you go to a non-Jewish cemetery? Does a non-Jewish cemetery also require you to do Netilat yadayim? The answer is yes, it does. Even going to a non-Jewish cemetery, it does require you to do Netilat yadayim. Yes, Shomrim. Yes, Shomrim. There are those that say that when you go to a hospital to visit somebody, right? You're not there, God forbid, for yourself, but you went to the hospital to visit somebody. You're there for yourself, then obviously I think sitting in that bed and the whole thing, it's you're going to need Netilat yadayim a few times while you're there even, right?
Wait, what if you sell medical equipment?
So it's going to say, if you go into the hospital, do you need to do Netilat yadayim when you walk into the hospital? Why? Because there is, in a hospital, they got body parts there, dead people in the hospital, you know, it happens, right? But however, it's a minhag, but we're not so makbid, we're not so stringent for someone that walks into the hospital to need to do Netilat yadayim. Because the fact that we made it a chiyud for you to do Netilat yadayim is when you know for a fact you've been around the dead bodies. Well, you don't know for a fact what floor, where you were, if the hospital has that, then, because this Netilat, again, the Netilat yadayim coming out of a cemetery is not the same as waking up in the morning. We said waking up in the morning, you for sure need to do it with a cup, because that has the ruach ra'ah. But a Netilat yadayim after a cemetery and things like that is not such strong negative spirit. So for that kind of Netilat, you don't need a cup anyway. You could just put your hand under a faucet and you're done, right? You should never know, but like when we go to the cemetery, like Eden Memorial, you see by the road, there's just faucets.
Yeah.
Or just, because you don't need a cup. You just put your hands like 6 times under it, or just wash it under it, and you're done. So therefore, in a hospital, you don't need to. So therefore, because you don't know in a hospital if there is a dead body, there's not you don't have to be so makbid. However, you for sure definitely should wash your hands when you go in the hospital. There's hand sanitizers everywhere in a hospital. That for sure you should do because you don't want to, God forbid, catch anything. Sorry, my throat is very dry, so I'm going to keep drinking. I don't want you to... It's annoying. Yesh shenahagu kishechozrim mahalvaya v'notlim et yadehem. There is a minhag that when people come back from levaya, when they're like following the dead body, doing a levaya, or in a cemetery, visiting someone's kever, or doing a burial, there's a minhag. This is actually interesting. I remember a long time ago, someone told me this, and I was like, what? I don't know, like, why? I couldn't understand it. But then I realized it is brought down. It was a long time ago. Because there's a minhag that when you come from a cemetery, or you just went from a burial, or visiting dead, when you wash your hands, you don't dry them. You leave them, with the water on your hands. You don't dry it. Can you guess why?
When you leave a burial?
When you leave the burial or you visit the cemetery, after you do Netilat
Because the
yadayim...
dead person can't dry himself?
No. That's like putting sisit in. I know where you're coming from. It says because... You're leaving your hand, don't dry it. Why? כדי שלא יסיחו את דעתם מזיכרון המת. In order for a person not to take their minds off of the dead so quickly.
So your hands stay wet.
Your hands stay wet. It serves as like a reminder for it not to just go away like that. We spoke about this a few times ago. That when a person goes in the cemetery, they should take the opportunity. We should never know of this. You should take the opportunity to contemplate on the idea of how momentary life is and how insignificant we are in this world. It doesn't matter how old a person is. That's why, as he brought down before, and we discussed it before, people that go to the cemetery and they have idle talk. You start talking about business or, hey, how you doing? I can't understand how people ask each other how they're doing in a cemetery. Especially if they're in the cemetery visiting after a sol, after a year or whatever. Yeah, okay, fine. But people that go for a burial, standing around the open grave, asking how you doing? How's it been? Yeah, what's going on? I can't understand it. How dull does a person become to tragedies, to even, it's even if the guy was 120 years old, doesn't matter. A person should think, this is life. You can live 120 years and live a very full life, live a very prosperous life, and you're going to end up in the same exact place. Everybody ends up in the same place. It's a famous story. There was I forget who it was. It was a rich person that was sitting in his home, and a collector of tzedakah came to collect money. He was a poor person, right? And he tells him, I'm sorry, just sit in the courtyard, I'll be with you. I don't remember exactly how it went, but he felt bad afterwards about telling him to wait because he was doing his calculations and stuff for his business and he couldn't pay attention to me. So he told him, just wait in the courtyard, I'll be with you. Afterwards, he went up to him to apologize about making him wait. So he says, the poor guy turns to him and he says, listen, do you know that you and I are exactly the same? No matter how you think about it, we're exactly the same. Just as when you're comparing yourself to me, says don't get offended, but you have to understand we're no different than each other. We're exactly the same. Says, oh yeah? How? She says, no, you tell me how we are. She says, I can't think of a darn thing how we're the same. It's because at the end of the day, there's one clothing that we both wear that costs exactly the same and it's very cheap. It's called shrouds. After 120, you don't get buried in golden clothing, nothing like that. Just a white cloth or your talit. That has to make a person think. No matter how much you make money, how much money you make, how much, like we said last time, all the money in the world that you make, it all depends on one thing. How did you spend it? What did you do with it? How many people did you help with it? How much Torah did you support? Then that money counts. Other than that, pointless. It's pointless. It's just money that you gathered and you leave. It means nothing. So in a cemetery, once again, not a place to talk, not a place to chat, and therefore there's a minhag which is tied into it. After you wash your hands coming out of the cemetery, don't dry it. Just so that the idea of what just happened stays with you just a little longer. For you not to just get rid of it so quickly. Like, okay, wash my hands clean, dried it, Shalom al Israel, goodbye. Right? No, I think it's a beautiful minhag. But however, he says, if it's during America, then it's not, you're not forced to do this. If it's during the winter and it's very, very cold, okay, you could dry your hands. But the minhag, the idea behind it still stays. It's only just so that you get a feeling of where you just where you've just been. And obviously, a person should be careful when you're coming back from a levaya or visiting the dead. When you do Netilat yadayim, you can't just find any faucet or any hose or anything from any building and wash your hands. Because it's stealing. You know? You can't do Netilat, you can't cleanse yourself with someone else's stolen water. That's not so clean. We really have to pay attention. As a Jew, we have to pay attention to these things. It's important.
Stealing if the guy wouldn't mind.
How do you know he wouldn't mind?
You know for a fact the guy doesn't mind.
It's less than
Still doesn't matter. It's not.
It's like taking a dime from someone.
It's like taking a tissue.
You can take your tissue.
Even if it's less
You have to
than-
ask whatever you take. You have to make sure that the guy lets you. Theft has nothing to do with whether the guy is going to be losing out or not.
Of course he does.
Doesn't. It's discussed in the Gemara.
What do you mean?
You have to make sure the guy lets you.
How is it stealing if he's not losing out?
All right, let's discuss that at another time. It's in Gemara Elu Metziot. Hanugeh b'gufo. If a person touches their body, you touch your body places that are usually covered. You need to do Netilat yadayim. However, this is not because of ruach ra. It's not because of that spirit. It's because of cleanliness, right? So if you don't have water to wash your hands, when you touch your parts of your body that are usually covered, wash it with something else. So there are those that say, even if you come out of the shower, you just wash your entire body with soap, and then you touch places that are usually covered, you still need Netilat yadayim. However, that's not the minhag. If you just came out of the shower, then your body's clean. Because the only reason we're saying you should do Netilat is because the body sweats. And that's dirty, and it's just, you know. You touch your feet, you need to do Netilat yadayim. Even if your feet are clean,
How about for eating bread?
you still need to do Netilat yadayim. Because as we said before, feet, because you're connected to the ground, and the ground has its own tum'ah. You never know where you've been with your feet. You should always do Netilat yadayim after you touch your feet. What was your question? I'm sorry.
If you come out of the shower and you want to eat bread,
And you what?
why do you need to
Different
wash?
Netilat.
You do Netilat. And we'll discuss this later when we get to it. But whenever a person, let's say, goes to the bathroom or anything, and then afterwards they want to eat bread, you just do the Netilat yadayim for bread, and say Netilat yadayim and eat bread, because that Netilat takes care of it also. So you don't do one Netilat yadayim.
So when do you say
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
So when do you say
and then draw your hands, and then do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then Netilat yadayim.
So when do you say Asher Yasher?
You could say it after Hamotzi, or technically speaking, you could even say it in between. Because
Before you say Hamotzi, after you wash your hands.
yeah, you could say it then also, but it's best to say it after if you're not going to forget. After
That's
Hamotzi.
interesting. That's next level.
Hanogeh belich. Okay. Now, if we touch our ears or our nose, you pick your nose or you pick your ear, do you need to Netilat yadayim?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yesh omrim she'en tzarich netilat. There are those that say you do not need Netilat yadayim if you do that. Ve'yesh cholkim, but there are those that argue on that. V'lachen, imu b'emtza limud, you can have a midday. If you're definitely if you're in the middle of tefillah, prayer, or you're learning Torah, definitely you should not put your hand in your nose and your ear, right? But if you do, you don't have to disturb your learning to get up and go do Netilat yadayim. Just clean your hands with something that cleans, get a tissue, clean it well, and put it away. Ma'al kol panim, you should be careful that you don't do it during learning, especially during learning and tefillah. And our Chachamim have warned us that a person should really, really be careful, especially during tefillah and learning, that your hands should not go places that they shouldn't, like picking your nose and your ear, because it's dirty places after all, and you're in the middle of learning and tefillah, that's not where it should be. And if you do need netilah. So there are those that say that you do need netilah. Therefore, a person should really be careful not to pick their ears and nose while they're learning and while they're in the middle of tefillah, because there are those that hold you actually do need netilat yadayim. However, as he brought down again, if you're in the middle of something, learning, or middle of tefillah, you don't have to stop everything and go do Netilat Yadayim. Find something to clean your hands, and then put your hands in your pocket or something, so they don't. Because sometimes it's out of habit. Some people just have this like habit of just reaching for their ear or their nose while they're concentrating.
What do you think about a phone?
Huh?
Phone.
Whether you need a netilah, no, you don't need netilah Yadayim touching your phone. But definitely,
It's pretty dirty. Especially because sometimes you take it in the bathroom.
yeah, but it doesn't have that muse to it. Dirty meaning it has like sweaty stuff that are stuck to it, like a person's nose or ear. Those things are what Halacha really talks about regarding those. However, you brought up the discussion of the phone. It must be said that having a person's phone out during tefillah or during learning is I could comfortably say, most probably, and I'm comfortably saying this,
Breaking the laws.
the worst and the most degrading thing a person can do in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Do what?
To have their phone out during tefillah or during learning Torah is probably, you can't, let me explain. This is a very logical thing. You come to Bet Knesset to pray. You're coming for tefillah. Who are we doing tefillah for?
Yourself.
For ourselves. You think Hashem needs you to come put on tefillin and daven? Hashem needs you to come to him and say, Refainu, please give us refuah shalama. Barachenu, barach aleinu, please give us baracha. Hashem needs that stuff. We're coming to ask him all these things. Right? So we're coming to ask him these things, the things that we want from Hashem. Right? However, we find time during all of that to be checking our emails and our texts and stuff. So Hashem's like, I don't understand. Like, I didn't ask you to come here. You're having a discussion with me. It only happens to people that don't recognize the power of tefillah. You have to recognize you are actually talking to the Creator. I don't care how religious you are, I don't care where you come from. Once you get into that zone of tefillah, He's listening to you. So picking up that phone, you're basically saying like, yeah, I don't see my own worth either. Why would you be listening to me? So it's fine, you know what? It hurts me sometimes. I'm so sorry. I've seen people shop. Like for shoes and stuff.
Better be a good deal.
I don't care what the deal is. It's the worst deal in the world. It's the worst deal because you're losing out on a connection with HaKadosh Baruch Hu for a pair of shoes. Let me put it this way. When the Chazan is doing Chazara, you're doing Shacharit or Mincha, and the Chazan is repeating the Amidah, the Chazarat Hashat. The halacha is, we're not allowed to learn Torah while he's doing that. You're not allowed to take a Chumash and catch up or review your last Gemara while the Chazan is doing Chazar. It's Asur.
But why?
To learn Torah, it's Asur. You understand? So, what do you think picking up your phone constitutes?
But why though? You're already
because the fact that we have a Chazarat, the reason the Chazan is
for
repeating,
the people that didn't hear it.
Right? He's the Shaliach Tzibur, that just in case someone.
I read it.
No. It's not for people that didn't read. It's also just in case people didn't have the right kavanah or whatever it is. Now he becomes all of our messengers, and with the amends that we answer. And listening to him and following along in the Sidur, the tefillot get accepted. What are we doing? We come during Chazarat Hashat. Again, it's brought down in Halacha. You cannot even learn Mishnayot, you can't learn Chumash, you can't learn Torah while he's repeating. So I can't understand how people put their phones face up on the table like this in front of them, on vibrate. Chas v'shalom, you don't want to disturb other people, right? Because it doesn't disturb anybody.
It's not right.
Okay,
right?
I'm just saying, you're right. There are important things happening. Wait 2 minutes.
But let me tell you something.
Aaron leaves his phone in
Let
the
me,
car.
guys,
No, not that whole.
guys. You have to understand something. Before there were cell phones,
Work
people
would
also
end.
davened, people also prayed. The world didn't come to an end. The world's not going to come to an end within those 45 minutes to an hour that you are davening, or that 15 minutes that you're doing mincha, or that 10 minutes that you're doing. Nothing is going to happen. Because if it does, you will know. You won't need a phone. If you make it a routine for everybody to know that during tefillah you don't pick up your phone and it's off, or it's on silent and it's face down in your backpack or whatever it is, the Satan will stop. Right now, those of us that can't do it, it's the Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara knows that the phone will get you. So all the important stuff come while you're davening. Right? All of a sudden, all those texts come. I guarantee you.
The guy doesn't answer
This
for
is
a month.
I'm guarantee you. For
You
30
walk
days,
into
for 30 days, try this. For 30 days, put your phone on silent or off, face down in a bag or something, so you don't even see anything happening on it. For 30 days. You might get a couple of those missed calls. It's the Satan. You will lose nothing. You will only gain. After those 30 days, you will come to your phone and you'll see like one or two texts, it was nothing. Nothing important. I'm telling you, try this. It's a mitzvah. And you're doing it for yourself. You're not doing it for Hashem. Hashem could care less. He could care less. We're davening to Him. But we're coming on our phones as if like, oh my God, if I don't answer my text right now, right this second, what are you, crazy? Middle of the tefillah, shopping for phone, for makes no sense. Not only that, it's very unhealthy. It is so unhealthy that we cannot literally put our phones away for 15, 20 minutes or an hour just so that we could. Tefillah is a meditation. For us to be able to just be me. I want to be with me and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I want to just be able to, share this moment with Hashem. And I'm going to end this part with this. Chas v'shalom. Should ever come to a time where all of a sudden something happens that we decide because of that, I really need to pray to Hashem now. And I'm going to put my phone on silent. Why should it come to that? We should do it while our tefillah is out of love and out of just normalcy. We shouldn't chas v'shalom because, like my Rebbe used to tell me, he's like, if you show Hashem that He can only get your attention through emergencies, then what do you expect? If Hashem sees that the only time I can actually get you to really talk to me and discuss things with me is if something goes wrong, then I guess that's your trigger. If I can't have you communicate with me while things are going well, then I guess, but, so I already said, but if you're communicating well while things are going great, and you communicate even better when things are going great, then Hashem says, then I'm going to give you more greatness, more goodness in your life because you communicate with me more when you're having a good life, when you're having positivity in your life. Okay. We'll hold the halacha here. For the Mussar part.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
About Netilat.
Yeah.
Where is there a reference to in the Bible that talks about Netilat?
No. Netilat yadayim was instituted by our Chachamim.
And so it's really, really fascinating that with water on just your fingers is enough.
Right.
How did this come about? Like, how is this possible?
Okay.
I know that's probably, you may have even covered that.
Yeah. So let me do it afterwards then.
Right.
Let me go to the Mussar part and then we'll discuss that. I wanted to share something fascinating with you guys from Rav Dessler and from the Volozhin, Chaim Volozhin. If I had to ask anybody, if I had to ask anyone, what is chokhmah? What is wisdom? If I had to ask you, how do you acquire wisdom? What would anybody answer to that? Like, how do I gain wisdom? Where does wisdom come from? Everybody, Anybody in this room that doesn't want to be wise, wouldn't want to be,
Sure.
wouldn't want to have, everyone wants to have wisdom, right? How do you acquire wisdom?
By learning things you don't know.
By
That's
learning
wisdom.
things you don't know. Okay, so I have to tell you,
That
I'm
right.
sorry, that's not completely true.
It's part
Learning
of-
things you don't
of
know,
of
you gain knowledge.
Huh?
Learning things you don't know, you gain knowledge.
Gain knowledge.
Wisdom is very different, and allow me to explain.
Requires empathy.
The pasuk says, when building the Mishkan, Hashem says, Hashem mileti ruach chokhmah. The people that died gave them a spirit of chokhmah. There is another pasuk that says, I think it says, Belev chacham natati chokhmah. Something like that. I forget the exact verse, but it basically says, in the heart of the wise, I gave wisdom. So the question is,
Why do the wise get more wisdom?
right, what does it even mean? Like, the heart of the wise, I gave wisdom. First of all, you have to notice one thing. It talks about the heart of the wise, which comes to tell us that according to Hashem, wisdom doesn't come from here. That's knowledge. Wisdom comes from the heart. It's something that's connected completely to the heart. So what is this wisdom? Right? And second question would be, you're giving wisdom to the wise-hearted. So if he's already wise-hearted, you're giving wisdom to the heart of the one that has wisdom in his heart. So I don't understand. So if he has wisdom in his heart, how are you giving him wisdom already? Like, so then, I guess
You give wisdom to the one that wants it.
let me explain this to you now. Perfect. Well done. If I wanted to ask you, who do we learn as an example? Who can we use as an example for Chokhmah? Shlomo HaMelech. King Solomon, the wisest man that ever lived. The wisest man ever lived. Shlomo HaMelech, by far, outranks anybody in wisdom. Let's try to think now how Shlomo HaMelech got wisdom. It's beautiful. Pasuk says, Menachem. Hashem says to Shlomo HaMelech in a dream, I will give you these choices. Pick. I am ready to give you a choice that you pick. Choices are, I will give you a long life. Healthy, long life. Or, I will make you victorious over all of your enemies. Always. That means you will always win in war. You don't have to worry about nothing. And number 3 was, I will give you riches beyond belief. You will be the richest king ever. Which one would you like? What does Shlomo HaMelech say? None of the above. Is there a D? You gave me A, B, C. Could I click D? None of the above. What does Shlomo HaMelech ask for? He says, Chokhmah. I want wisdom. I don't want riches. I don't want a long life. I don't want to win over my enemies. I want wisdom, which was not even in the choices. So Hashem tells Shlomo HaMelech, because you chose wisely, I'm going to give you all of them. You will have all of them. You will have wisdom. You will win over all your battles. You will have the riches. You will have all of them.
Wasn't he like 11 years old too at that time?
What does it mean that I gave chokhmah to the wise-hearted? Basically means if you want to be wise, don't be stupid. It's very simple. You want wisdom? Wisdom is not in here. It's in here. You have to want wisdom. If you have a pull for it, if you have a passion for wisdom, then Hashem grants you wisdom. Shlomo HaMelech got wisdom not because he was a good, he used to study a lot. No, Hashem gave him wisdom as a gift. Why? Because he wanted wisdom. He truly wanted, even when he got the greatest choices, riches, winning over the battle. I want wisdom, and Hashem gave him all of it because of it. Because without wisdom, you have nothing. And Shlomo HaMelech was wise enough at least to realize that. What does that say about us? We all have that. We all have that. We just have to tune it a little and make it work for us. We have to have that passion for wanting to be wise, for wanting wisdom. And then Hashem will give it to us. There was one time, I think it was Rav Chaim, that went from his yeshiva to another yeshiva that his uncle was the Rosh Yeshiva. And he comes and asks his uncle, these are like Lajna Rav, these are very big giants. And he was young at the time. So he asks his uncle, show me the best Talmidim of the yeshiva. Who are the best Talmidim of the yeshiva? So he says, okay. He says, you see that boy over there? He's the greatest matmid of the yeshiva. Matmid means like he's constantly learning. He says, wow, it's amazing. He says, you see that one over there? He's the most he's got the most yirat shamayim. Fear of God, that kid's got it. You see that one over there? He's the most harif. He's the most sharpest kid we have in the yeshiva. And so on and so on. Finally, he's done. So he says, but uncle, I asked for you to show me the best Talmid of the yeshiva. You showed me who's the greatest matmid, who's got the greatest, yirat shamayim, fear of Hashem. You didn't tell me who the best Talmid is. Who's the best student of your yeshiva? He says, you see that kid in that corner over there? He says, yeah. He says, he's by far the greatest Talmid we have here. He says, why? He says, because he has a passion for growth. He doesn't let up. Sure, that one's really smart, and that one has a lot of yirat shamayim, but he wants it more than anybody else. He has a want for it. He doesn't give up. You know who that Talmid became? The Steipler Gaon.
Wow.
You don't have to be the smartest. You don't have to be the sharpest. You have to have a passion for it. You have to really ask HaKadosh Baruch Hashem, I want to know. I want to delve in your Torah. I want to grow in your Torah. That's how wisdom comes. Of course, we have to learn too. We can't just be like, no. We learn, but wisdom comes from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Therefore, Hashem says in the Pasuk, I've given Chokhmah to who? To the heart of the wise. I've given wisdom, I give wisdom to the heart of the wise. If he's already heart of the wise, what are you giving wisdom to the? Answer is, the heart of the wise is that person that really wants wisdom. From his heart, beats for it. He wants growth. He wants greatness. People have passion for a lot of things. Money, wealth, greatness. But know one thing. If the wisest man that ever lived, Shlomo HaMelech, chose wisdom as the greatest thing, we should follow suit. So to end up, one last time. If you want to be wise, don't be stupid. Choose wisely. Baruch Adonai le'olam. Amen.